Hi everyone, good evening, namaste. So 10 weeks of युक्ताहार project में आप सभी का स्वागत है. So what is today's topic? Today's topic is about something which is very delicious and something that we Indians really love, something that we Indians are very famous for, if I may say so. And basically, so today, without any more suspense, we are going to talk about pickles, achar. ओके सो आचार के बारे में हम क्या बात करेंगे. वी आर गोइंग टू स्पीक अबाउट इट्स होल बेनिफिट्स, हाउ डज इट हेल्प यू इन फेज 2 and what are the kinds of myths or doubts that are usually associated with pickles or achar. So I'll just get away. So पिकल्स इज समथिंग ऑफ कोर्स बहुत जायकेदार चीज है. हम थोड़ा सा लेते हैं और एंड इट कैन लाइवन अप आवर एंटायर मील. जब हमारे पास कुछ नहीं है बहुत प्रिपरेशंस को, वी कैन जस्ट have it with roti, we can have it with rice, and it can just change the whole flavor and it can change the whole taste of the meal, and it is really something very delicious. I personally love pickles. सो पिकल्स के मिथ्स क्या क्या हैं. एक तो मिथ ये है कि पिकल में बहुत ऑयल है, सो पीपल विद कोलेस्ट्रॉल और पीपल वांटिंग टू लूज वेट शुड नॉट हैव पिकल्स. दूसरा है कि इफ यू हैव हाइपरटेंशन विच इज हाई ब्लड प्रेशर, तो आपको अचार नहीं खाना चाहिए. आप डॉक्टर के पास जाएंगे, देन वन ऑफ द थिंग्स दे विल आस्क यू नॉट टू हैव इज अचार. द थर्ड थिंग इज अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल फील कि अगर हमें किसी भी तरह का कोई गट इश्यूज है तो हमें खट्टा चीज नहीं खाना है, एंड देन दे से कि पिकल्स से नहीं, मतलब पिकल्स नहीं खाएंगे एंड पिकल्स छोड़ दो, अचार छोड़ दो. सो अ लॉट ऑफ दीज मिथ्स आर देयर. Interestingly, modern food industry recognizes now, they recognize pickles as functional food. Functional food का क्या मतलब है? A food that can do a certain specific function in the body is termed as functional food, and they recognize pickles as functional foods, and which means that they obviously feel that pickles and achar is a great addition to the diet. तो अब ऑफ कोर्स बिकॉज मॉडर्न साइंस ये बोलता है एंड बिकॉज वेस्टर्न वर्ल्ड इज अगेन टेलिंग अस कि नहीं अचार अच्छा है, देन वी आर ईगर टू रिविजिट इट नाउ. सो लेट अस गो बैक टू द टाइम कि अचार हमारे इंडियन कल्चर में बनता कैसे था या कैसे बनता आया है. So it's February right now, and the moment we have March, April coming, the next few months there will be mango season, and जैसे ही वो summer season आएगा, just not mango but a lot of the other fruits and vegetables, इनके अचार बनने लगते हैं. गर्मियों में, सर्दियों में भी बनते हैं गाजर का, गोभी का. that is the good time to make those kind of अचार. एंड जो अभी फेब्रुवरी, मार्च, अप्रैल, मई का टाइम है, इस समय वी मेक समर फ्रूट्स या समर वेजिटेबल्स से अचार. A lot of people make चने का अचार, like my mom makes चने का अचार. So अचार is not made only with fruits and vegetables. It can be made with so many other things, like as I said, chana का अचार, and of course there's लहसुन का अचार, which is garlic. So again, as I said, it's not only about fruits, but you can make achar with so many things. So how was this done usually, or how is it still done in many households where it is still prevalent? It's almost like a community activity, जहाँ पे सब लोग एक साथ इकट्ठा होते हैं, and somebody is like chopping that curry for that aam ka achar, and somebody's mixing up the mustard oil with the spices, and the kids also used to take part in it. At least in those olden days, like I remember as a child going to my terrace and looking after the mangoes which were kept for drying. So it was almost like this community activity, almost like a summer festival. And all these things were done so as to again welcome us to the new season, because anything which is good for your gut also works on your immunity, because 70% of your immunity is in your gut. तो अगर कोई भी ऐसी चीज है जो आपके गट बैक्टीरिया के लिए अच्छा है या आपके इनर इकोसिस्टम के लिए अच्छा है, then it will always work on your immunity, and therefore you will see that most of these things also coincide during the seasonal changes because that is when you really want your immunity to be strengthened, so that you don't you don't get affected by the seasonal change or seasonal allergies and etc. So अचार में क्या होता है, यू यूज दीज फ्रूट्स एंड वेजिटेबल्स इन अ वे दैट यू कैन यूज देम फॉर द रेस्ट ऑफ द ईयर. अगर हमें मैंगोज सिर्फ समर में मिलते हैं तो हम उसका अचार बनाते हैं, खट्टा भी मीठा भी, सो दैट वी कैन यूज इट ऑल थ्रू द 12 months. So it was traditionally a form of food preservation, and what was done was that because हम इसको fermentation के लिए छोड़ते हैं, fermentation का क्या मतलब होता है, where we allow the bacteria to work on it and we allow that खट्टापन to come, हम उसको ferment होने के लिए रखते हैं 2-3 दिन. So because it is fermented, it also becomes something of a health benefit to us. तो इसमें fruits and vegetables में फर्मेंटेशन होता कैसे है. अचार जो हमने लिया, हमने मैंगोज को कट किया या एनी फ्रूट वेजिटेबल को कट किया, इसमें क्या होता है, देयर आर सम बैक्टीरिया ईस्ट ऑन आवर हैंड्स, देयर इज नेचुरली अकरिंग बैक्टीरिया इन द एयर, एंड ऑफ कोर्स ऑन योर चॉप्ड फ्रूट्स और वेजीज और चना और व्हाटएवर यू आर यूजिंग, there is also microbes over there. So these microbes actually then they get together and they start eating up the sugar which is there in the fruit, in the vegetable, in the chana, in the whatever it is. So जो भी sugars present है उस food में, the bacteria starts eating it and then it breaks it. It breaks down the sugar and in the process it produces lactic acid. तो जब भी कोई भी बैक्टीरिया काम में लगता है और लैक्टिक एसिड प्रोड्यूस करता है, इसको लैक्टो फर्मेंटेशन या लैक्टिक एसिड फर्मेंटेशन बोलते हैं. सो दिस इज द सेम मेथड बाय विच यू मेक दही. जो दूध से दही बनता है, अगेन दूध का जो शुगर है वो इसी तरह से ब्रेक डाउन होता है, एंड देन दूध का जो लैक्टोस है, शुगर है, वो ब्रेक डाउन होके लैक्टिक एसिड प्रोड्यूस होता है. इन द सेम वे इट्स द सेम प्रोसेस where these bacteria on the fruits, on your hands, on the naturally occurring which is in the air, they all get together, eat up the sugars in the fruits and vegetables, produce lactic acid, and ये lactic acid है जिसके वजह से अचार में खट्टापन produce होता है. We get this sour tangy taste to the achar. Now coming to the point about the myths that I was explaining, like many people say that the salt which is there, it's not good for people with high blood pressure. So number one, if you are doing anything for your gut ecosystem, your blood pressure also gets taken care of. So that is like something which is very, very straightforward. But having said that, if you're really concerned about the salt, then this salt is actually added so that, because see, when there is fermentation happening, there is also a chance of the bad microbes coming in, taking an advantage, getting a competitive advantage as they say in scientific terms, which means that they outnumber the good ones. वो बढ़ जाएं, गुड वंस कम हो जाए, एंड उससे फिर वो खराब हो जाता है. जब हम बोलते हैं कोई चीज सड़ गई है या हम बोलते हैं कि कोई चीज खराब हो गई है, इट्स एक्चुअली द बैड बैक्टीरिया, दे हैव वन ओवर द गुड वंस. And because we keep achar for a good time, 6 months, 12 months, we keep it preserved, we do not want कि हम एक ऐसा इन्वायरमेंट अपने जार में, अपने पिकल के जार में हम ऐसा एक इन्वायरमेंट क्रिएट करें ताकि कि द बैड माइक्रोब्स कैन गेट अ बेटर होल्ड और दे कैन गेट स्ट्रॉन्गर compared to the good ones. And that is the reason these recipes are done in the way that they are done. When we put salt, it is actually so that the good ones can multiply better and the bad ones stay far away, and actually the bad ones don't even enter in that case. The tail which is given, the dhania or the jeera or the methi dana or any spices that is given is also given for this very same purpose. The third point is about the container. अचार को आप देखेंगे कि अगर हम चाहते हैं कि वो 6 महीने 7 महीने अच्छी तरह रहे, उसमें ऊपर फंगस का लेयर नहीं आए, which means that it is getting spoiled, then we will always keep it in a या तो मिट्टी का बर्नी या फिर ceramic, or we keep it in a glass jar these days. But these are the choices that we these are the choice of material. Right, so this is also done so as to extend its shelf life naturally, so that this process of lactofermentation can happen the way it should happen, because we need a proper optimal temperature also for these good microbes to really stay well inside the pickle jar. And these kind of materials, whether it's glass or ceramic or mitti, they bring about that optimal temperature. The fourth point is about the kapda, the muslin, that patla kapda which we use to cover the barni, to cover the mouth of the barni. That is also because अगर ये बर्निंग में बहुत सारा हवा, बहुत एयर आए, एंड बेसिकली एयर व्हेन आई से आई मीन ऑक्सीजन, तो जब ये ऑक्सीजन होता है, देन दीज good ones, the good bacteria can die off. So we want to create what we call in scientific language an anaerobic environment. Anaerobic environment means an environment where there is no oxygen, because that is how these good bacteria will stay, and they can, you know, they are going to come on our thali. Every time we put little achar with our rice, with our bhakri, with our roti, with our dosa or whatever, if you want those good bacteria to come and settle down on our plate and then eventually enter our gut, then we have to ensure that there is no oxygen which is entering inside the jar. And to maintain all of this microbial paradise, so to speak, we need these kind of things, whether these are the spices or the oil or the salt or the kind of material that we are using for packaging, or the muslin cloth and all of these things. So that is when, you know, these live bacteria, again, they are in the live form, right? So they are not the bacteria that have died. These are the ones which are live. So then when you take a little achar apne thali mein, you actually get the benefits of really introducing live microbes into your system, which will then interact with your native microbiome. And what is the native microbiome? I explained it yesterday. कि native microbiome क्या होता है. So they will then interact with your native microbiome and then bring about health benefits. So so this is how it is. Any fermented food you eat which has live microbes, whether it's achar or anything else, ye microbes, they will not come and settle down in your body forever. They come, they interact with your resident microbes, which is your native microbiome, and they just influence them, and the maximum they stay in your system is like 5 to 7 days, and then they just go out of your system through your bowels. So that's the reason why, you know, in phase 2 you're asked to have any one ferment. You don't have to go on eating ferments a whole day, but any one ferment, a small amount every day, so that you keep on, you know, reintroducing these live microbes. And because the moment you go on reintroducing these live microbes for as long as 6 weeks, which is phase 2, then they actually do start interacting with a lot of our resident microbes, and, you know, then they bring about a lot of changes to our health physiology. And that is when, you know, your health changes from the core, from the root, and you see a lot of these long lasting changes for a long time. So now a lot of these questions are ki, why can't I buy the achar, right? Because what has happened is that we have lost, obviously, people don't have time these days, and we have stopped probably making achar, at least I would say 50% of the population. So ab hum kya kare? Can I buy the achar which is available in the market? So that is one question that I think is important to address, because I keep getting this question a lot of times. So let us try to understand what happens in a market or what you say as a commercial ferment, as a commercial achar, what happens over there. So in the commercial achar, what really happens is that, you know, they have to take care of the shelf life. हम घर पे जैसे ये अचार को बीच बीच में हिलाते रहेंगे, आपकी मम्मी या नानी, दादी, somebody will come and they will stir the achar once in a while, because they want to just make sure everything is fine inside. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि वो 6 महीने के लिए उसका डब्बा पूरा बंद करके उसको रख दिया है हमने एक जगह पे. We don't do that. We keep a muslin cloth, we keep checking it, we keep stirring it. If required, we even put it and expose it to sunlight for a day or 2. अगर बीच में हमें लगता है ऐसा कि नहीं इसको जरूरत है, so we take care of those things. But when it comes to a commercial achar, there is nobody to take care of these things. It gets packaged and it's on your shelf life. It's on the shelf, and it has to basically, you know, go through that shelf life so that, you know, it can sell and it can give profits to the people who are making it. And so in order to do that, what they have to do is they have to heat treat the achar after they make it, which is actually called pasteurization or processing, where basically achar बनने के बाद उसमें heat treatment दिया जाता है, क्योंकि heat treatment से सारे pathogenic, which is basically the bad microbes, ये मर जाएंगे, they will get destroyed. But what also happens is, because of this heat treatment, the good live microbes also get destroyed. So eventually when you take and buy this achar, you're just getting the flavor and taste and stuff, which is great, but then you're not getting the benefits of the live microbes, because there wouldn't be any live microbes left over there. So that is the number one thing. Number two thing, and which is again very important, is that कि commercial अचार में natural fermentation से अचार बनाते ही नहीं है, because who has the time? All these mass produced अचार from industries, they don't have that kind of time that they will sit and ferment it and they'll expose it to sunlight, then check it for 2 days, 3 days, and do all of that. This whole process that our mothers and grandmothers do for us, they are not going to do it. So most of the time commercial pickles are just made without any fermentation. They are just made using vinegar. So just vinegar is put, which gives that sourness and that flavor, and it just goes through a heat treatment, as I said, and it's there on the shelf. So the basic benefit of natural fermentation is something that you're not getting. Now, what is the basic benefit of natural fermentation? There's so many. I'll just give you one example. When these bacteria, they ferment the fruits and vegetables, they stay inside and they start fermenting, start eating up, and they even stay inside for the next 6, 7, 12 months inside your burnie. What they also do is, as a byproduct, a lot of B12, vitamin B12 is produced in the process. So when you take this achar on your plate, unknowingly you're taking a very good source of B12. But when you take this commercial achar, which is just not gone through fermentation, the natural fermentation, then of course you don't reap such benefits. B12, as I said, is just one of them, but there are so many other benefits that you get simply because the food has been subjected to a natural fermentation. So in your market achar, you don't get the benefits of natural fermentation. You don't even get the live microbes that will then go inside your system and interact with your resident microbes and exert health benefits. So you don't get these things. What you do get is actually a lot of added chemicals, because if it's a meetha achar, for example, bazaar ka meetha commercial achar, then in order to get that sweetness, again they are going to add either artificial sweeteners, if it's a very organic labeled kind of a thing, or it is something like a high fructose corn syrup. There can be corn starch in it. All of these things basically, at times just for the flavor, at times for taste, or just at times only to extend the shelf life. So there can be various reasons, but a lot of these additives are added, which then bring a lot of this dysbiosis in the body. What is dysbiosis? Dysbiosis is life in distress. It means that your the bad microbes in the body, the microbial community actually is not in a state of balance, where the bad ones are more and good ones are less, and therefore your immunity is not good. Therefore you find yourself struggling to lose weight in spite of eating all the superfoods, or in spite of even working out 2 hours a day. So when you look at things from this perspective, you will realize that in the market achar, okay, now again the thing is that all the market achar, all the commercial achar that you get, you always get it in plastic containers. So again, what this plastic does is that plastic is permeable to oxygen. What is permeability means? Permeability means कि प्लास्टिक जो होता है वो उसके पैकेजिंग के थ्रू ऑक्सीजन ट्रैवल करके बाहर से इट कैन एंटर इनटू द पिकल्स, एंड एज आई डिस्कस्ड the good microbes will stay alive only when there is an anaerobic environment, which means when there is no oxygen inside the container where they are living presently. So again, from that perspective, again the packaging doesn't go well. Commercially it doesn't make sense. The transportation, handling cost, everything increases if they are going to use mitti ka bartan, or if they are going to use ceramic jars, or if they are going to use glass also for that matter. So for all of these reasons, I will insist that you make your achar. If you cannot make your achar, you can borrow it. You can ask your relatives to send you, if you know family people who are making it. The third option I will suggest is that if you really go online, which is so easy these days, there are many women communities. I have seen them, and they are doing like really superb work. These are women communities who are making this achar from scratch, just the way it should, like the natural fermentation process, and they are selling it. So all you need is that be a little more aware. Try to find out, go online, research, just the way you research about a new dress, about the matching shoes with your new red skirt that you bought. So when you do that kind of research, I think this research is equally important, if not more. And this research is also something that, you can invest your time into. So if you invest, you will see these kind of women communities who are actually delivering not only in India, but abroad as well. And you can just check out their Instagram. We have Instagram these days, so you can check out them on Instagram, how they are making it, so as to, kind of see that they are really very authentic in the ingredients they are using, in the way that they are doing. So now, since we are in phase 2, we are in week 5, I will say that take a small dose of achar with your curd rice, with your roti sabzi, dal roti, anything of that sort. What about timings? There is no such thing as timings with achar. You can take it with any of your meals. You can take it with your breakfast porridge, kanji, khichdi. You can take it with your dinner. You can take it along with your lunch. So there is no such thing. The other question is, if I'm diabetic, can I have it? If I have hypertension, can I have it? If I have PCOD, can I have it? Achar can be had by people all across, people who are having any kind of health concerns, people with, any gender, any age. The only thing, as I said, it has to be made the authentic way. Most of the times, like if it's a household thing, you will see that the namak that they are using to make the achar is always sendha namak, which is rock salt. It is never, that white wala zar se girta hua refined wala salt. So when you're using that kind of a salt, which is basically rock salt or sendha namak basically in simple language, but you may recognize it as Himalayan pink salt or rock salt or black salt or whatever you want to call it. But when you use that kind of a salt, it is not the kind of salt that is going to give you hypertension. It's not the kind of salt that anybody suffering from high BP should avoid. So, again, as I said, be mindful of the ingredients, be mindful of the process that is being employed. Choose the right quality. Here again, going back to the 3 R's of TBBD. So choose the right quality. Again, I would say quality is the king when it comes to food. Do not fear achar, just select the right kind. Okay, so I'll just go to the questions now.
What could be the reasons of excessive flatulence? What can be done to get rid of excessive flatulence?
No, it's difficult to say why there is excessive flatulence. There can be many reasons, and it can only be discussed, and it can only be shortlisted only once we are in a one-on-one consultation. Having said that, what can be done? You can have warm water throughout the day. You can have a glass of warm water just before your meals. You can ensure that you don't take any of the big chana, like the rajma, chola, chana, even anything which is as big as lobia for that matter. You do not take them after evening, which means that you don't take any of these kind of lentils, chana in the dinner. In fact, if you go to chapter 6 in my book, it is very well written that for dinners, the only lentils one should have is moong, masoor and tuar. These are the only 3 lentils that preferably you should have for dinner. Especially for people like you, the person who has asked the question, if you are somebody who's prone to flatulence, then you should ensure that other than these 3 lentils, you do not take any other lentil, dal, legume or any such coming from this family for dinner. Take a glass of warm water before your meals. And what you can also do is that you can take a teaspoon of ghee, a good quality ghee again. Take a teaspoon of ghee in the morning, first thing when you get up. Take a teaspoon of ghee, put 2 to 3 or maybe even 4 pinches of kala namak on that teaspoon, and then just have it. Have a glass of warm water after that. So these 3 things.
Any reason why women have stubborn arm fat and hard to budget?
I don't think there is any such thing that women have stubborn arm fat. There are many guys also who come to me saying that I have stubborn arm fat, and so I don't think it's a gender specific thing. And how to get rid of it, how to get rid of it is actually, the thing is that there is no spot reduction. So अगर आप जाके मैं बोलूँ कि जिम में जाओ आप आर्म्स की एक्सरसाइज करो, there is no spot reduction there, right? So when you lose weight, basically when you lose fat, you will lose fat from everywhere. अभी हम चाहें कि नहीं मेरे आर्म से पहले जाना चाहिए, पर देखो मेरे तो थाई से जा रहा है. इट्स समथिंग दैट इज नॉट इन आवर हैंड्स. इट्स बॉडीज इनर इंटेलिजेंस. योर बॉडी इज गोइंग टू डिसाइड कि पहले कहाँ से फैट जाना चाहिए. सो इट्स समथिंग दैट आई जस्ट से दैट यू हैव टू बी पेशेंट अबाउट. You just need to follow the principles of TBBD and just be patient, and in some time you will see that even your arm fat is like kind of reducing. Yeah, okay, so thank you so much guys, thank you for joining in, and I'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Thank you.